Hi, I'm here with Morten Bilde. Thanks so much for being here, Morten. You recently won the both team events at the Icelandic Bridge Festival, partnering your wife and and teaming up with your son, Dennis. I think it's fair to say that you're one of the friendliest people in the bridge world.
Thank you.
You're also a champion. You won the Vanderbilt in 2013, partnering Dennis, and came second 2 years ago. It's great to have you on the Setting Trick. And I haven't even mentioned anything about your Danish school bridge program. So it's good to see you. And we were just talking a little bit before I started recording, and you were talking about something which was interesting. And so I said, let's record. And here we are. You're telling me today you're coming back from Aarhus.
I came back from Aarhus where I was meeting with a group of volunteers who are helping our school bridge program to shuffle cards. Because when we go out to schools, we bring a lot of cards, and for each lesson we have sort of 8 deals that match the lesson. And it's very important that all these deals are correct. And so when you come out into the classes, that cards are not wrong. And the problem is a lot of kids, when they have played the deal, they are not always so good at putting them right in the back same position. So we have within sort of every month or every second month, we go through all our cards. And luckily, I have a group of volunteers here in my area. And in the Copenhagen area, we have another group who are doing that stuff. It's all these things that need to be done in order to run a teaching program. Is great to have volunteer help for that.
So let's go back to, I was reading Dennis was in the well, your son Dennis, and he said that you basically quit your day job in 2015 to get bridge into schools in Denmark. Yeah. And perhaps that was influenced by some legislation in 2013 that said, we're gonna have children be in school for longer.
Yes, that's true. We actually, I have been involved since around the year 2000 to try and get bridge into schools, and I've been working with Youth Bridge, but it has been tough to get it into the schools because the after school programs or volunteer programs were locked. So it was very tough to come with new stuff and get it in. You had to go through the Ministry of Education, which was tough. But then in 2013, there was a new law that, as you say, made the kids spend more time in the school. But more importantly, it let the schools decide what sort of stuff they wanted as extra curriculums. So it was much easier now to go to a school and suggest them bridge. And so that made me say, okay, now I want to give this a try. So I quit my job and went full time into this. And luckily enough, I've had a really, really lot of volunteers helping me, because you can't do this on your own. You need a lot of people to help. And now we actually have an organization which is represented in most parts of Denmark. We have I think, a very good teaching program. We have a lot of people who help teaching. We have a lot of volunteers that are coming out with us into the schools. And obviously it's a lot of work, because we are competing with other stuff, sports and computers and other things. But I think we have reached a place now where it will stay. We see schools coming back asking us to run programs again. And that's basically very good. So you don't have to go out into the schools and ask them to come in.
What was your decision like in 2015? Like, how did you make that decision?
Well, obviously I talked to my wife about it, and because there's some economy involved. When you go from making money to not making money, then you have to make sure that you can sort of make keep your life going. But our kids were grown up and we could throw them out, so we didn't have to pay too much for them. And we are staying in a pretty cheap place in the countryside, so we decided that it was worth a try. And luckily, we also our organization are applying foundations for support. So we have been able to get some money that we spend on different things, but also I sometimes am able to get some salary. So for the time being, it works out very nicely, and it's the best job I've ever had. So I'm very happy.
Really?
Yeah, really.
It's the best job you've ever had.
Yeah, working with young people and working with volunteers who all sort of love the game and the stuff that you are trying to teach is just fun. And obviously, you also need the support of your family. But luckily, my wife plays bridge also. And so most of my family understand what I'm doing or why I'm doing it.
Did you meet your wife through bridge?
Yeah, I did.
What's that story?
Well, it was, I had just joined a junior group. I think I was 19 or something like that. And we played bridge while going to the university, meaning we mostly played bridge. And she also comes from a card playing family, so she played bridge with her brother, who is actually a world champion in the seniors. So it's a pretty good bridge place we have here. And then she's 4 years older than me, but still at the time our group was pretty young, so we did a lot of things together, and then at some point I just stayed at her house, and that was it.
So is this Dennis's uncle, Jorgen? Is that's your wife's brother?
Yeah.
And
as for the fun of the story, he actually lives in our place also, because when we moved out here, when Dennis was, I think, 4.5, we decided to move from the Aarhus, the city where we lived, and out on the countryside, just because I'm not really sure why we did it, but we just wanted to try something new. None of us come from somewhere outside city, but then we moved out here and we found out we needed one more person to make all this. And he didn't have anywhere to stay, so he moved with us, and he has actually stayed there and sort of has been an extra parent for our 3 kids. So,
so, your son Dennis, I reached out to him in advance of this interview, and I said, "Is there anything I should ask your father?" And because you mentioned him, his first question was, ask him for a power ranking of his family, including Uncle Jorgen.
Well, I must say, Uncle Jørgen is the best competitor I in our family. Obviously, Dennis is probably a better all-round bridge player, but Uncle Jørgen is amazing. When he sits, he's just a natural talent. When he sits down, he basically always does the right thing. And he can't always explain why he does it. But when and the funny thing is, when he plays here in Denmark, he's not really, winning as much as he should. But when he plays internationally and he sits down and focuses, he is just amazing. Actually, the funny thing is, we are now, you might know, the European Championships are going to be in Denmark this summer. And I'm going to be captain of the open team. And I'm fighting with the captain of the seniors team because I want Uncle Jørgen on my team, but I can't have him. So surely the ranking is that Dennis is usually by now better than the rest of us. But I think I admire Uncle Jørgen the most because he doesn't do any work with bridge. He doesn't. I don't think it just comes to him.
Yeah. And so you were the NPC of that team, right? That won the
I was the coach. I was the coach. Yeah. But basically, I worked also as NPC because I know all the players very well. And but my official title was coach.
So you guys won the senior world championships last year in Morocco, right?
Yeah.
And Dennis's other question was, which do you enjoy more, being a player, a captain, or a coach?
That's tough. I think I enjoy being coach and captain for young players more than playing. When they are grown up, it's tough because it's easier to work with young players and develop them. You know, when bridge players have reached some level of play and age, it's very tough to do something with them. But here on the open team for this championship this summer, it has been I have been discussing a lot with the selection committee about what to do because obviously I could play, but I think I'm giving more value to the team as a captain. But we'll see.
Really?
Yeah, we'll see. So,
you think you give more value as a captain?
Yeah, because I think there's more. I mean, a lot of NPCs and coaches are thinking very much in bridge training and bridge system and all that stuff. Yeah. But I think if you can get the right psychology into your players, there's many more imps in that than the other thing. And in order to do that as a captain or a coach, you need to know your players very well. Yeah. You need to understand what is it to sit and play in these competitions. And a lot of our potential captains and coaches don't have that ability, obviously, because they haven't played. So I hope I'm right, but we'll see.
Do you think that was the case in Marrakesh?
I think our team spirit was very good in Marrakesh. The players knew each other, and we had sort of there were no problems with people arguing or people wanting to play more or less than others. I had a very important job to buy 6 beers every afternoon and come and bring them to a specific room where the captain didn't know or wasn't supposed to know that we did that. And obviously that helped the team spirit very much. I would only do this on a team like this because these guys, it helped them. They were happy. And I mean, in a junior team or an open team, I would hopefully never do that. But in the senior team, it was obvious.
Yeah. How did you guys do in the round robin?
I think we were 4th or 5th, but we were never in danger of not qualifying. And I'm pretty sure that the fact that we everybody played in the round robin only 2 matches, and so we were more fresh, especially against Poland. I think the anchor pair from Poland were getting tired. They also said that Kwishin and Stakowski, and because they played very much also in the round robin. Right. I think one of the reasons we beat Poland in the knockouts was that they were sort of tired.
You guys playing with your wife in Iceland, you won both team events. How often do you two play together?
Well, we usually play on Iceland, actually, because we have done that quite a few years with Sabina and Roy. We play some open mixed championships, and we haven't played on the national team or something because she plays on the ladies team, but it works out nicely when we are playing.
And do you play the same system with your wife that you play with Dennis?
Yeah, and that I play with all the young kids.
Wow. Do you remember when we played together?
Yes. in the midnights. I don't remember what system we played though. I guess it was sort of natural because that's all I can play.
Yeah.
No, because I think the psychology and the mental state of the players is so important. Obviously, I believe that natural systems have an advantage here because I think you should spend as little mental energy as possible on system, but that's my approach. I mean, other people have other thoughts about it and they're doing very well. So I think it's different from person to person.
Where in Denmark? I did not know that European Championships were going to be in Denmark.
No.
Where in Denmark is that going to be?
It's actually a pretty small place called Herning, but they have a lot of. It's very well designed. This little place for championships. They have every time some sort of world championship in any sports event comes to Denmark. It's there in ice hockey, in handball, in. When the Tour de France started, and they are very, very good at that. So I think we will have a very nice event.
How does the selection work for the Danish teams?
We have selection committees for all 4 categories because our country is too small to have sort of competitions between teams. We wouldn't really have, let's say, 3 strong teams that could compete.
Right.
So we have selection committees, and they select 3 pairs for each team and a captain and a coach. And I think in a country like Denmark, that's the right way to do it.
And are you on those selection committees?
Actually not, but as I'm the captain of the team, I'm in a close dialogue with the selection committee. So we try to have the captain work very close with the selection committee because you need sort of a team that that the captain thinks will work.
Yeah. That's something that I try to do actually is I know that technically there's a lot of people, there's plenty of people that are stronger bridge players than me, but I try to have like a winning mentality.
Yeah.
It's something that I focus on. And I do varying degrees of well.
But I think that's something that people should look more into because there are so many bridge players who are pretty good. And so it's not really the difference in abilities to take finesses or make squeezes. It's the abilities to sit down and stay calm at the table. That will make the difference. Obviously, if you can find players like Dennis or Onkel Jørgen for that case, who are just naturally gifted, it's easier, but I don't think it's not worth the work to get all these perfect details. Obviously, some people like Michael Rosenberg, he can do it, but that's probably the only guy.
Where do you rank winning the Vanderbilt in 2013, partnering Dennis and playing with Roy and Sabina? One of the major events in the U.S. Where do you rank that in your list of like life achievements?
Well, bridge-wise, I think that was the best thing I've had. Also because it was the first time I played in the U.S. So I had never played in the U.S. before.
Wow.
And only heard about it and read about it. And at some point, we have known Sabine for many years because she lives in Denmark, and we've been skiing together with our families since the kids were small. And at some point, she then met Roy, and he also joined on the ski holiday, and then we decided to try and go and play a tournament. And that was then the Vanderbilt, and to me it was the first time in the US, and which obviously makes it more amazing, even though also it's fun to play with your son and good friends and all that stuff. So for sure that was the best. I must admit I have never won any medals for Denmark. I have won some junior medals, but no world championships. So there's nothing I can really compare to that.
When did you start to think about actually winning the event?
I think it was after the famous match against the Zimmerman team, where we were down by 80 or 90 imps at halftime.
Oh my gosh!
And
I didn't even know that.
No, but it was really crazy. And the last session, I think we won by 50 or 60 imps.
Wow.
But that wasn't enough. But then there was a ruling from one of the other sessions, and we went to bed. And at some point, Roy texted us and told us that they ruled in our favor, get some sleep.
Oh my God.
We have to play tomorrow.
Wow.
And then obviously you said, okay, if we can win this match, then we can win any match.
Right.
Yeah.
You're a pretty mild-mannered, like good-spirited person. What's the angriest you think you've ever been at the bridge table?
Actually, I think it's when opponents don't behave very nicely.
Yeah.
I remember actually I played in a mixed tournament not with my wife, but with someone else. And there was a guy who was really unpleasant to I don't know if it was his wife but I remember I got so angry with him. I said he should go out and find another partner for his partner, because so that's probably the worst. I don't really remember being very angry at my partner. Obviously, you get a little bit angry with yourself when you make stupid things.
Yeah.
But probably it must be if I have played with Dennis or Søren and they have done something stupid.
Did you can you give me an example of making a mistake and how you kind of moved on from it?
Yeah. It's the way I try to handle this is whenever I have a tough decision, I try to convince myself that I use all the information I have and use it to the best of my knowledge. And if I can do that and I make a wrong decision, I'm happy. I say, okay, that's fine. You did your best. And this is what I try to tell all the young kids also, because, you can't avoid making mistakes, but you can avoid not trying to use the information you have.
Right.
So if I have done something where I thought I knew what was going on and it turned out I didn't, if I didn't think about the things that I should have known, I can be angry with myself.
Yeah.
Also, actually, one situation is that when partner has to do something and he doesn't do it, and then you miss a chance to save him. I actually did that a few weeks ago with Søren, and I was so unhappy with that he didn't, because I thought it was obvious that I didn't think and save the situation. I was very unhappy with myself about that. You know the feeling, you can see if partner does this, the contract is down for sure. Now he does something else and you say, why didn't he do it? But then you lost your focus and actually missed a defense that could have saved the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I had that the other day in a sectional tournament, and I did not. There was an inference available to me that my partner had a holding in the suit that I led something, and then they returned the suit that I led, and I had the ace of diamonds, and they had the king of diamonds, and I mean, it looked like I had control of clubs, which was Dummy's long suit. So she could have played a diamond back, but basically her logic was that she had control in diamond. She had the king, so she wasn't worried about like if the player had the king of spades now. And so I misdefended, and it was the first board of it was the second board of a full day event, and it really wore on me for a while.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we need to work with bridge players, because it's so tough if you are not prepared to handle these situations. They can cost you so much focus in the next boards. Right. Yeah. So and you know, just accept that you will make mistakes, because it's impossible to play bridge without making mistakes. And
I think. Go ahead. Sorry.
And just learn to handle the situation when you realize you've made a mistake.
I think the other thing that frustrated me about that board was that I felt like I wasn't ready. You know, like I felt like we played the best team in the event, or the second best, we won, but we played them in the first round, and I just felt like I wasn't warm. You know, like I felt like with golf, for example, I hit balls on the range, but in this situation, I was just kind of came in cold and wasn't really in a great frame of mind either.
No. And that's also very important. You know, when I play with Venita, most of our time we spend trying to work out how can we get into the right mindset before playing. Because it's so, I remember actually in the period when I played with Dennis, I was still working. So I had to quit work and go to the airport and fly to US or wherever we were playing. And usually it would take me 1 or 2 days to get into the right mode, because, you know, before you finish work and clean your desk and get everything settled to stay away for 10 days, then you have a lot of things in your mind. So if your mind is not clear, just as you said here, you come in, you sit down, you're not really ready. It's so important to be able to know how can you prepare yourself mentally for a bridge game, or for an important bridge game.
How do you and Venita do that?
Well, we usually try to have a day or two before the tournament starts, where we just discuss. We play a pretty simple system. We discuss just the system, and then I talk about some stuff about. We always try to play that a bid is what it looks like. If you are in doubt about what the bid means, it means what it looks like. And so try to talk about the logic of the game, and always so that you always can whatever partner does in the bidding or in the defense, we try to follow logic instead of system. And this, I think, is very, very good, because you can then adjust your system to, if you can remember your system by logic, it's much easier.
What's an example of that?
That's we have, when we started playing, there was an expression called a stolen bid in Venita's notes.
Yeah.
And it was, let's say, they open 1 diamond, I overcall 1 spade, and next hand cube it's 2 spades. Now, if partner doubles, it was named a stolen bid. And it could mean in some situations you would have bid 2 spades or whatever. And she was very confused about it, and I never heard the expression, but it was obvious there was no logic in her mind about what was this. Yeah. So after some time, I decided that we would just play the bid. It is what it looks like. If you double spades, you have spades. You're not saying anything about if you would have bid 2 spades or whatever. You just have spades. You have something in spades, and partner is welcome to lead a spade.
Right.
And so this apparently was easier to handle, because it was more logic that if you double 2 spades, you have spades. If you don't have spades.
Right.
And if it's called a stolen bit or not, in some situations, that really doesn't matter.
Mm. Mm. So we're talking about Vanita Gupta, who is you played with her in the Vanderbilt in 2022 when you guys lost the final.
Yeah.
How did you and Vanita get started?
Well, that was actually also a very nice story, because in 2019, a friend of mine was very ill from cancer, and he had never played in the US, and he wanted to to try and play international. So I said, okay, let's go and play. And it was in San Francisco in 2019. I think it was summer or fall.
I don't remember. Fall. It was the last national before COVID.
Yeah, it was fall. Yeah, that's right. But his problem was that he had also some other illnesses. He couldn't really lie down and sleep. He had to, if he was sleeping in a bed, he had to sit up, sort of. Wow. So it wasn't easy for him to stay in a hotel for 10 days. So Dennis and I had actually played on Vanita's team for a year or two in 2014 or 15. And I remembered she lived in San Francisco. So I emailed her and I said, I have this friend. We're coming to the US. Can we stay at your place because he needs some extra? And she said, yeah, sure. So we went over there and stayed a few nights at the hotel, and then stayed out at her house outside San Francisco and drove. And that was pretty nice. And we were very happy about that. And he died a half a year later, but he had a great experience. Then I didn't know, at the time, Vanita didn't play much. And I didn't know she had a plan of starting to play again. But she talked to one of her personal assistants was at the house, and I talked to her also. And Vanita said, oh, she was looking for a partner. And then this assistant said, oh, why don't you call Morten? He seemed like a nice guy. So she emailed me and said, oh, if I wanted to play. And at first I said, I'm sorry, I don't have the time to play. But then I rethought it and said, if we can bring over young players, I don't want to play on team with expensive professionals, but if we can bring in young players and make them mature, give them a good, then it's okay. And she was happy with that.
Wow.
So that's the story. And I think she's still very happy with it. I'm very happy. And we are having fun with these teams.
Mm. So Emil and
Andreas and Søren, and then we have had some different. Right now we have Simon Egenberg on the team. We have had Simon Hult also, and I'm sort of looking around, and if there are some new young players, obviously they need to be able to play some. But and it's fun.
Finishing second in the Vanderbilt's not bad.
That's not bad. Yeah. There we have to give a lot of credit to Simon Cope. He was actually playing on the team that year and played very well. Mm. So it's not only junior players. I don't think we can call Simon a junior anymore. He did greatly.
Are Emil and Andreas, are they in the running to be on the Danish Open team for the summer?
Yeah,
or can you
they are. Yeah, they are. Dennis is playing with a new part. Dennis has been playing with Emil since they were 12 years old. They played juniors for, I think, 15 years. And then they played quite a few years also in Denmark on the national team. But they split up because we thought actually that Emil could do better for the team by playing with another partner. Mm-hmm. Because Emil got a little bit too passive when he played with Dennis. So we didn't get the full potential out of his.
Right.
So now we are trying to split them up, and Dennis is playing with Martin Schatz. I think you have met him.
I don't know if I've met him. I mean, my friend Kur Gallbeck, he talked about Martin in the past.
Yeah. But he's very talented. He's 40 years old now, so we can call him an ex-junior. And it seems it's going quite well with him and Dennis.
Well, they won all 3 events in Iceland.
Yeah, not bad.
I mean, I don't know. Going back to the schools, you said you're getting invited back to schools.
Yeah.
Somewhere on the internet, on your Danish school bridge page, I saw you've introduced bridge maybe to 20,000 kids. It says.
Yeah, we what we do is that when we go out into a school, we usually start by having an introduction to, let's say, 50 to 75 kids. And then we have a program of, depending on the school, 10 to 15 lessons. And sometimes it's all the kids, and sometimes they let the kids choose if they want to have bridge. So all these numbers amount, but a lot of them have only played, let's say, 10 lessons. So it's not that we have 10,000 kids playing in the school right now, but our main goal is also to introduce the game to the kids so that they know what it's about, and to the teachers so they can see this is pretty good for the kids, and so that the teachers can get back with the next group of kids that comes in and say, oh, we also want these to have some bridge. Obviously the tough part is to keep all these young kids in the game.
Yeah.
Because there's no really opportunities. The bridge clubs in Denmark are very often playing from 7 in the evening to 11 in the evening. A lot of older people, and too long time for young kids. So we miss opportunities to keep them. Even they catch interest in the game, we lose too many of them. And this is bad, but it's obviously something that you have to accept that happens, because you teach them something and not everybody likes what they learn. But it's a little bit sad that some of the kids who really like it and want to play don't get the opportunity. So actually we are right now working on if we can do something to find all the online opportunities for young new players so that they can find some of their equals and play online, because we need to think in online terms, because it's too tough to get the clubs to give youth opportunities. We have one place in Copenhagen where we have quite a lot of schools in an area where we have started a live youth bridge club every Tuesday afternoon. And this is good, and obviously it's tough. Sometimes we have only 2 or 3 tables, but we are running it through a year and then see what happens. And it seems the kids are coming back and we are happy with it. So this is something we're going to try again. But you can only do that in places where you have quite a lot of schools, where you have kids playing bridge within not too far away from each other. So you have to think along the online thing.
Are master points? Are they getting master points in that game, or is that something you think about?
No. Master points are not as popular in Denmark as in the US. We have master points. We also have a ranking system like in golf, a handicap system. But for the kids, this is not really something they. It's more the social. I mean, the most important thing when you want kids to play bridge is to appreciate it's a social game. They are having fun with their friends, doing something that they like. The competitive part of it can come later.
What is your ranking in the handicap system?
I think I'm a little under 0, and the best are 7 or 8. But the system is a little strange, because if you play, I only play basically on top level stuff. But the way to get a good handicap is to play with a bad partner against bad opponents. So that's
what's Dennis' ranking in this system?
I think he's in top 5.
Yeah,
but obviously, people who are ranked higher than him, it's because of he also only plays in the top level thing. But it's fun. It doesn't really work at complete top level, but a little down below, it actually works nicely, and it's used when you have, let's say you have 100 people for a tournament, you can put them in different categories, after the handicap, and that works nicely.
How often do you and your wife play?
We probably 4 or 5 times a year. We don't play regularly in the club. We could do that, but I've been playing with Søren and Emil and, these young. And but we might start playing some more. It's basically because we don't have the time for it. We're having fun when we're playing.
Is Søren your son?
Yeah, he's the youngest. Okay. Dennis is from 89, and then we have Micah, the girl in the middle, from 92, and then Søren from 93. So they're pretty close. And
do they live? Do you live near? Does everybody live near each other?
Very near. Dennis and his girlfriend Pernille live 20 minutes from us, and Micah and her husband and kids live 15 minutes from us, and Søren lives in Aarhus, which is 25 minutes. So we are very happy with that.
Can you give me some stories about raising Dennis as a father?
Yeah. Obviously. Well, it was very, very funny because he was obviously the oldest of the kids, and he was very curious. So a lot of times we lost him, and when we went to some place, at some point someone would say, "Where's Dennis?" and we would look for him, and then we would say, "Oh, he will probably find us again." And one of his favorite comments when he was very small was when he came back, he said, "Oh, you got lost." And I remember when he was in the kindergarten, they had a trip to some zoo park or something, and obviously the same thing happened. And the one of the grown-ups called Dorte and said, "Oh, Dennis is lost. We can't find him. What should we do?" And she said, "Oh, don't worry, he'll find you again." And true. So that happened pretty often with him.
How did he come to bridge?
Well, we obviously, as you can guess, we are a family that love to play games. Yeah. And with our kids, we played a lot of games, a lot of card games, but not bridge. So all of them learned to play card games, also sort of advanced card games, but we always thought that we would not play bridge until they wanted. So Dennis, actually, when he was 12 or 13, he found somewhere where he could go to a bridge course, and he went for young people, and he went there, and he learned to play, and that was fine. So he played with them, and I actually only started playing with him when he was very good, and I'm pretty happy about that, because I think it's not always the easiest way for kids to learn to play with very ambitious parents.
Yeah.
But luckily he found Emil, the guy. He found him very early, and so had a good partner who wanted also to play, and they played a lot together and with other young kids. And I think that's very good. That's one of the reasons I think that they have become so good so quickly.
What games do you play? Like when your family gets together now, what games do you play after? Do you play after dinner or something?
Yeah.
Or like,
We play bridge, and
you do?
Micah's husband liked to play cards. He couldn't play bridge, but he needed to learn to play it, and he loves to play. And Dennis's Pernille has also learned it, and so basically we play bridge when everyone can play bridge. If not, we can play all other sorts of games. But it's also, bridge is really great in the way that you can. If I play with a beginner, I have a very, very big task in knowing what information can I pass to this person and what sort of information that he's trying to pass can I use.
Yeah.
And so it's fascinating for everybody to play. I mean, if you play chess against someone who's better than you, it's not fun for anybody. But bridge is really fun. So I think it's a very valuable game to play when you have different persons of different abilities. Obviously, there are some bridge players that you can't let into groups like this because they don't understand that some people are not so good.
Right.
But we play a lot of bridge, even though that because both Micah and Dennis have small kids now, so they don't have much time to play other things. But when they have time, they like to play bridge.
So that sounds like more than 4 people, though, if you get the whole family together, for example.
Yeah.
So do you play two tables, or do you just
we will play the number of tables that's needed. We have a pretty big place here, so we have space enough. Actually, in next weekend, not this weekend, but the next, I will have something like 24 junior players coming. And these are junior players who are going to play for the national team. So we are having a 2-day training session at our place, and then Uncle Jørgen will cook for them. So not only can he teach them to play, he can also make food. That's nice.
Got it. You've been doing this, so you started this project in 9 years ago. The
school bridge project started in 2015. I've been involved in the youth program since, 2000, 2002, 3 or something like that.
So what would you say, how do you think, how successful have you been versus what your goals were when you started?
Well, I remember that I thought it would be more tough than it actually is to get bridge into the schools. I thought that would really be a problem. But I think the arguments we have found and the way we introduce bridge into the schools makes it pretty easy. It's very easy for us to, if we talk to a math teacher or someone and say, this is why you should try it. What has been less successful is, as I mentioned, I think we're losing too many of the kids who think it's fun to play because we don't have opportunities to keep them in the game.
Yeah.
And basically this was not our mission when we started the school bridge program, because we just wanted to introduce the game. But obviously now you also want to keep some in the game.
Right.
So I think we have found a good way of getting it into the schools. I think we have found a very good way of teaching. We see more and more of the normal bridge clubs adopting our teaching system because it simply gets people to play much quicker. So I'm happy about that. I'm not happy about that we can't keep them in the game. I'm not happy about that we need more teachers who can help teaching bridge, because sometimes we are really stuck. But everyone is volunteer. We have been trying to get on the state budget and stuff like that, but it hasn't worked yet. So I would be happy to have a little more professional organization. But I'm also afraid what will happen, because you know what happened when everybody is a volunteer. It's easy. If you start hiring someone, paying someone, it usually doesn't work very well with all the volunteers. So yeah, it's It's tough. But if we want to expand more, I think we need to do some education of more teachers that can go out into the schools.
Have you been featured on Danish television? Anything for this program?
Yeah, we have. We've had quite a lot of when we have either school programs or training camps or sessions. Television think it's interesting, so we do get some of that, and I think what we, if it was a company, I think we should do more about talking to math teachers, because I think all these math, whenever you meet one of these and you show them how it works, then they say, oh, this is great. So if you really wanted to get into schools, you should do some more work on the math teachers organizations, which they have. But, now you need to hire people who are used to doing stuff like that. And it's not easy for our volunteers to start doing that. And we need to focus on, the things that we're good at.
What do the math teachers like about it?
They like that you get another way of doing something that a lot of kids think is fun, but it still has some math and some probability in it. And they see a lot of the kids, especially boys, who are, today they all have some letters. In our time, they were just a little uneased. They couldn't concentrate too much, which is normal for a lot of boys in the school age. But a lot of them, when they get to play cards, they can sit still for maybe 2.5 hours and focus on that. And this is something that fascinates a lot of the teachers.
Right. They can sit still.
Yeah.
They can sit still.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many children do you think you think are playing bridge actively because of this program?
It's tough to say, because the only thing we can really measure it is junior players who are joining clubs. But a lot of these players are playing, at home or together or on Funbridge or whatever. So it's really tough for me to say, but it's too few that stay in the game. That's for sure.
What's been your toughest day as the head of this project?
I haven't had many tough days, but probably it's because you're working with volunteers, and sometimes you are planning quite big events, let's say 120 kids or something. And some people are responsible for this and this and this. And I remember there was once we had to go to a school with 80 kids, and then 2 of the people who were supposed to be responsible, I wasn't there. They just called and said they couldn't come. And that was pretty tough, because then I said, okay, what can we do now?
Yeah.
And we had to call the school and say we need to find another day. And that was okay. But that was tough. I didn't really know how to handle that. But obviously you can't really say to people, well, you said you could come and do this, so you have to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's volunteers. But it's very seldom that this happens. I mean, volunteers are very, very good people to work with. Yeah.
What about best day? Best day.
The best day is usually when we have, let's say 3 weeks ago, we had the Danish School Bridge Championships, which is for all of the players who come there, the first tournament they come to. They come and they play with bridge mates, they get results, they have only played in the classroom, and they come. And this year, actually, we could we had some prizes that the winners would go to Dorte in May. There's a big tournament there, but there's also a junior tournament. So we had the 3 winning pairs got a trip to Dorte. And these kids who came there who had never played a tournament and met other kids and saw these prizes, and when they found out after we play only 2 board rounds because it's pretty slow, and they get the result out and they can see, the look in the eyes of these kids is just so amazing when they play their first tournament, and it's really, then you can, it doesn't matter how much time you've spent at that time.
Right.
When you see these kids really enjoying and having fun and being, wanting to win this tournament and doing their best, sitting there, and you can't hear anything. This is 7th grade people. They would usually talk, but when the round is on, you can't hear anything. They're just focusing and concentrating. That's just great.
When did you realize that Dennis was really good?
Probably around when he was 14, because he very quickly picked up what you were supposed to do, and without really, sometimes people need to learn the logic and understand, but it seemed that it came to him that this must be the right way to do it. So, there are a few of these players in the world who are just natural talents, and like in other sports, you have, people like who can just play football or whatever, and they can't explain how they are doing, or they're just doing it.
Right.
And Dennis is one of these, and obviously as he got older and better, it became more apparent, but it was obvious to me that he knew things that basically I hadn't told him or someone else hadn't. He just worked it out. And when you see those kind of players, then you know, okay, these guys have potential.
What was that like for you?
Well, it was, it was only a few years later where he started talking about that he wanted to be a bridge player. So at the time it was just fun. He was in a group of young players and it was fun. They played and had fun with it, and they did well. But at some point he declared that he wanted to be a bridge player. And I said, okay, that's fine, but if you want to do that, you have to go all in. You can't just say something and then, and he did. And I'm pretty happy about that, because it's not only the ability to play bridge, you also need to behave nicely. You also need to be able to talk to different people. And it's not so easy. As you probably know, a lot of the bridge players are not easygoing socially.
You've seen that with me before. Oh man, I was thinking about that incident we had in Memphis where I called the director because your first had opened 3-0 Trump and that didn't meet the rules for that.
Yeah.
I was regretting that, man. Sorry about that.
It doesn't matter, but no, but this is good, because actually it gave me insight into some rules that I didn't know existed. So there was, remember there was this list of rules that you were not allowed to do.
Yeah.
And so now I can tell the young players, this is actually, because I don't think we have these rules in Denmark. I think they are. I think they are ACBL rules.
Yeah, I don't even remember how I came across that rule. Yeah. I think it was like the rule of 19. You had to have 17. You had to have number of high cards points plus cards in a suit.
Yeah.
In order to open.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But it was pretty obviously. This guy was not happy about it. The young kid, Søren Kaspersen, but it really opened my eyes to that there were these rules. Yeah. So I'm happy that I learned that.
Oh man, yeah, we were were playing Morton's team, and he was on a team with some young people at the NABC in Memphis, and I think spring of 2019.
Yeah.
And they opened 3-0 Trump against me in the Swiss, and it turned out he didn't have like a solid suit. We got a bad result on the board, and I called the director because I don't even remember how I came across this rule of 17. I had come across it semi-recently somehow, and yeah, I was worried actually when I asked you what's the angriest you've been in bridge, if that you were going to say when you did that.
No, but I mean that's very different. It's also a very important thing to be able to handle directors and director calls, because some players take it personally,
Yeah.
And when someone calls the director, they say, "Oh, you're accusing me of cheating" and all that stuff. So I try to tell my partners and my players that whatever happens, if someone calls a director, just lean back, let the director do his job. Because when we are playing high-level tournaments, usually the directors know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And don't take it personal. But that can be tough. I mean, I have had players who came back to me 4 times and said, "What do you think about this? I mean, I was not hesitating." I said, "Shut up."
Oh, man. Oh, my gosh. So are you coming to Louisville?
Yeah, go ahead. I actually had a pretty funny talking about director rulings in the Danish First Division. The bidding went, I was third seed, it went pass. I opened 4 hearts, and now we're playing the screens, and now the tray comes back after, I don't know, 24, but it was obvious there had been a hesitation.
Yeah.
So this guy, my right-hand opponent, looks at me and said, "Oh, am I allowed to bid now?" And I said, "Just bid your cards." We both knew that obviously the hesitation was his partner's, but if you have a bid, just bid. I mean, don't worry. And he doubled, and it went pass, 5 diamonds from his partner, 5 hearts from my partner, double, 1 down. And his double was perfect. He had a 4-1, 4-4 hand with 9 points. To me, it was obvious to double. Yeah. So the funny thing is, so after the match, our teammates come and say, "Oh, we have a director call." Oh, so there might be an adjustment. Oh, I said, "What's the problem?" "Well, the bidding went the same way." And then it went, and then they didn't talk, he just doubled. And then it was right to double, so they called the director, and the director ruled you're not allowed to double. So that was pretty funny. So we needed to, so I told the director, "Well, that's pretty funny because the same thing happened at our table. So what are you going to do about that?" And then the funny thing is that they misdefended. So I got 10 tricks and our opponents got only 9 tricks, which they should have. So we won 5 imps. But now the director ruled, if he said he wasn't really a good bridge player, so he thought, "Oh, you can't double. I would never double," he said. That's fine. But so he ruled no one can double. And then I said, "Oh, that's great. Then we win 10 imps because I got 10." And then he said, "Oh, no, I can't do that." I said, "Do whatever you want." But and then I think it went into an appeals committee, and they ruled that they would not allowed to double, and sometimes 50% of the time I would get my 10 tricks and 50% of the time I would not. So I think we're stuck with our 5 imps. But the situation was so funny, and I understand that the director didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But this is a classic example. It was 2 of the young kids playing at our team, and they were unhappy because the opponents called the director. And I said, "Don't worry about it." They said, "Oh, we didn't hesitate. They said we hesitated 1 minute, and it was only 40 seconds or whatever." I said, "Don't worry about it. Just..."
What did the hesitation play? The guy who hesitated, what did they have?
They had actually a tough hand. They had ace, king, jack 6 times in diamonds. Ace, queen, 3rd of spades, 2 little hearts, and 2 little clubs. So after pass, 4 hearts, obviously, but that fitted very nicely with the 4-1, 4-4 hand, so they could make 5 diamonds.
Right.
And to me, the double was obvious. I mean, at hesitation or not, you have pass, 4 hearts, pass, double. You have 4-1, 4-4 with something like 9 points or 10 points or something. I would be unhappy if my players didn't double.
You think the hesitator should have taken a call?
No, I think it's fine to pass, and I think it's fine to double, because I think the guy with the stiff heart has to take action if he can. Right. But it was an interesting situation.
Who's your partner for the Danish?
Well, I play on a team with both Søren and Andreas and Emil, and we switch a little bit around. So here I played with Emil in this match.
So you're coming to Louisville?
Yeah.
You'll be there the whole time?
Yeah.
Playing on Vanita's team?
Yeah, with Ekenberg and Emil and Andreas and Søren. So that'll be fun.
Well, I look forward to seeing you. It's been a pleasure to have you here on the show. I love what you're doing.
Thank you.
I'm grateful.
It's been great being here, and just as you know, if anyone needs any help or any good advice or whatever, they can always contact me.
What's the best way to do that?
Email. Yeah.
All right.
I'm old-fashioned. I'm not so good at the social media.
It's Morten, Morten.
Yeah. .bilde@gmail.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
and I'm happy to give all sorts of advice and to give whatever, if they can use whatever we have from material. But usually when people want to try and start some youth program, they don't really know how to get started. And I think the best advice I can give is to tell them what can work and how could they do it.
Are you seeing an uptick in juniors, like between 2015 and now, like that are in, you're having this 24 kid training session?
I think we are seeing more in the girls, and we actually made a decision to try and get a girls team over the last 5 or 6 years. We have a nice group of girls, and also in the under 16. And the under 16 is obviously from the school program,
right? Because
we didn't have those before. But still, we haven't really worked out how to keep these in the game. We need some more interesting experiences, like the weekend I'm talking about here, so that they can look forward to coming and having some social fun with their friends while playing bridge.
I can only imagine. Like, I didn't learn how to play bridge until I was 18, and it was with my parents, and I didn't really have peers that were playing, and so I didn't play nearly as much. I can only imagine being in middle school and being introduced to bridge, like what a revelation that would have been for me.
Yeah.
And to have kids to play with. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, wow, that would be so cool. So I think it's great that you're doing that for so many kids.
Yes, and it's these kids, they get such a great network. When they get out and play some tournament somewhere, they meet other kids, and it's just so great.
Yeah.
And they have fun together, and it's just perfect to see.
Yeah, I'm looking here. I reached out to Amresh Deshpande, and he said, I asked him about you because you guys did that thing in India a while back, and he said you're incredibly committed to spreading the game to young people.
That's true. Yeah, it was a fun trip we had. We might redo it Actually, some of the kids that were with us who are now older, they asked me, when are we going to India again? So maybe I'll talk to Prasad, the president of the federation, and see if we should do something again. Could be fun.
All right. Well, it's great to see you. I look forward to seeing you next month, and give my best to Dennis and everybody else.
Yeah, I will. Thank you. See you in Louisville.
All right. Thanks, Morten.
Thanks. Bye-bye.